Hello! Someday my tractor wasn't started anymore, so in this video I'll show you how easy it is to repair tractor starter. I already fixed it a few of them so far. It helps if I punch on solenoid. Then the magnet pull, but the pinion gear isn't fit into flywheel gear, so contact will not turn on and the motor has no power. If you watch this video, you probably know how the starter works, but anyway, just a few words about how it works. You can see that the positive wire goes from battery direct to solenoid. From there also go every other positive wire we need for lights and other power consumption. The other fat cable go to starter motor, and the third wire is from ignition key which activated solenoid. When we turn the ignition key, power goes to solenoid coil, which pull the pinion gear into flywheel gear. When the pinion gear is in the right position, the solenoid also switch the contact which distribute power to starter motor. First of all, I check the battery voltage, but 12.6 volts is totally okay. Before take off the starter, unplug the boot wire from the battery. I remove the exhaust system for easier access. Then unplug all the wires from solenoid and remove the complete starter with solenoid. Before I take apart the starter, I clean it a bit for easier work. Now disassemble this starter. First, I remove the back cap which holds the rotor in its place. Remove the C-clip to release the rotor. Be careful on a thin washer, so you install exactly on the same place when you assemble back together. Now I can take apart the motor. This is some strange type of starter, which got brushes screwed on the cover, so I must remove those too. Now we can freely remove the stator. When the solenoid got power to this small terminal, it pulled the pinion gear out to flywheel gear and then activated the switch on the end of solenoid, which distribute power to the starter motor. Then you remove the center screw. Some type of starter got pin instead of screw. Also need to remove the long screw. I helped with a pair of counter-tight nut. Now you can finally get the rotor and solenoid core out of housing. First I will test the solenoid. Put the center screw or pin back to its place and mount the solenoid back on. Then use the battery for testing. Positive wire connect to a small pin on solenoid and negative wire connect wherever on housing. When I connect wire to the battery, the solenoid must pull the forks, which pull the pinion gear, into the housing. But in my case, you can hardly see that the forks make just little movement, which is not okay. I forgot to record this part, but my problem is in this pin. Too many dirt was under the contact, so the current can't go through. Now try again after cleaning. There you can see how the solenoid must work. Fast and powerful. But there is one more thing you must check on solenoid. Set the instrument resistance and check if switch for starter motor works okay. You can activate the solenoid with the battery or just push the fork in to activate the solenoid switch or contact, whatever. I disassemble all again to clean up everything and add some grease and movement parts. Now I can take care on rotor. Here you can see how flat is the tooth after more than 20 years of use. Because of this problem, pinion gear can't fit into flywheel gear, so starter can't run. We just heard the solenoid how try to put gear into flywheel gear, so we must turn the ignition key for a few times until the gears are aligned. With an angle grinder, I simply sharpen the angles on pinion gear, so the teeth easily fit into teeth no matter in which position is gears. And here's the result. If your starter hasn't power to start the engine, you can be pretty sure that you got problem with graphite brushes or colector into starter. I put the rotor into mini lathe to brush the colector with the sandpaper. Sorry for the clip, I forgot the camera. If the colector more damaged, you can also turning it, but not too much because there is only a few millimeters of copper. If there is only a dirt, you don't need a lathe, just sand it to clean. At the end, be sure that you had no dirt between individual collectors. If you're turning it, you must clean the chip between each piece of collector with tiny file. Clean the brush bed well so they can move nicely. On this type of starter the brush can't be changed, and in my case they were worn out. So I make an additional space for the spring so that can push the brush to collector for a few years more. Brush clean with sandpaper, but be gentle so you keep the radius on it. I got all prepared for the assembling now. Bring the battery and make a test. Now I can put the starter back to engine. And finally test it on field. You see that? Start in first try. I almost can't believe that. Before that mode I must turn the ignition key for at least 5 to 10 times. And then the starter hardly and slowly start the engine. I didn't see that power of starter for the last few years. Thanks for watching, like, share and subscribe if you like, and see you next time.